Yes, a couple of follow-on questions with that. This French-built ATR 42-500 aircraft. There's a lot of other twin turboprop aircraft that could be used for surveillance other than a 45-passenger plane that's often used in commercial aviation. Do you have any idea why a French-built aircraft was selected, being on average millions of dollars more expensive than some other platform?
To give you the most candid answer I can, I have absolutely no idea why.
That might be worth investigating. And while we're going on that loop, at 2008, this aircraft cost, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of $8.5 million. Today, they cost around $12 million. We've currently spent, going on now, what, $86 million in modification. How many aircraft could you buy? 10 at the 2008 rate. Were you also aware that there was $6 million worth of damage done to the aircraft as they're trying to install the different radars and cameras that they're not going to be able to install now?
I am aware that there was damage done. Again, I have limited...
How was the damage caused?
I don't know, sir. I have limited visibility. I'd certainly like to take this back and have the right people.
Yeah, the FAA, they kind of certify, mechanics and things to install and look at things. We might want to look at that before we go destroying $8 million aircraft and turning them into $86 million expenditures. $2 million from the DEA, as I understand it, spent on a hangar that will not be used in collaboration with Department of Defense for this aircraft that will not fly and now will not be used in Afghanistan. And in addition, there were modifications made to existing hangars in Afghanistan. Can you speak to some of that?
Obviously, with the downsizing of our workforce in Afghanistan, the usage of the plane there wouldn't make practical sense. So.
Has anyone considered the downsizing of the airplane? Maybe it's elimination or it's selling and cutting losses. What would be the benefit of having this non-flyable, non-camera operating, non-radar capable $6 million worth of damage with installation? You see where we're going here? What could possibly... We're talking about $800,000 for an informant here, and maybe an abuse of $300,000. This is $86 million. Does anyone see a comparison that maybe this might be something that ought to have a lot more investigation other than Amtrak, manifest lists?
Look, I agree with you, and I believe, and Mr. Horowitz may know better than I do, that the DOD is also looking into these issues, but I'm not familiar with their investigation or what they're doing. Mr. Chairman, this is one of the most outrageous things that we have. And look, I know you guys you're like us. You go pick up the rocks and look at the creepy crawlies underneath them, and we certainly appreciate that, and that's how we find so much of what we find. So this is not a denigration of your important work, but this is what exasperates the American people. U.S. dollars, I love the French, great people, great ally. They're always there with us, on our endeavors, great foreign policy partner. We make aircraft in the United States as well, probably a lot cheaper than what we've done. These are things that we really have to dig into because of all of the items that we've looked at in what you've presented to us this morning. None is as egregious as this. And just the $6 million worth of damage, could go for a lot of paying Amtrak manifest, to people that don't deserve it that you could get in other ways. So I would hope that as you pick up the rocks and look at the creepy crawlies, there's a lot more rocks on this aircraft issue. And I don't know how we recover from it other than we just cut the losses and we move on. But there's a lot more answers that we would like to get regarding the airplane. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence.
Thank you. I'll now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Following up on Mr. Russell's question, so Jack Riley, when he was Chief of Operations, what does that mean, Chief of Operations?
He would oversee our operations division.
Well, I get that. Come on, put some meat on the bones.
All of our enforcement priorities, which would include air wing and other areas.
So were things going well with the air wing or not going well with the air wing?
I don't have
personal knowledge, sir, of how things were or weren't working with the Air Wing at the time that he was the chief of operations?
Well, I mean, we just detailed an $86 million boondoggle. A lot of this responsibility goes to the Department of Defense. I did have a briefing on it, and I do buy that. But I'm just struggling to figure out how this person in 2015 got a $36,000 bonus. You know, the American people, we're $19 trillion in debt, and I'm sure he's a good, capable person. But it's just unimaginable that we can somehow justify handing out bonuses by the tens of thousands of dollars. I don't think the American people, the people we were hired to do this job for, I don't think they can look anybody in the eye and say, tell me why this person should have gotten a $36,000 bonus. Because I tell you what, most of the people in our districts, they aren't getting $36,000 bonuses. They may not be getting $3,600 in bonuses. So when you have a problem that's approaching $100 million and the thing is sitting in the hangar and you're the chief of operations, why should you get a $36,000 bonus? He then also got promoted, right? Now he's the acting principal deputy administrator. So what do you tell the American people about that?
I mean, sir, I obviously know Mr. Riley well. I think he's an honorable man. I don't know at what point this rose to his level, the issue with the aircraft.
He was chief of operations.
Right, but again, I don't know at what point this came from our aviation division into the chief of operations. And
If it didn't, that would be a problem, right?
and that is possible, sir.
How do you excuse yourself from this when...
Again, I don't have a sufficient answer for you.
That's right, and I think that's a very candid answer. I think it's a very accurate answer. It's a question we're asking, and we got to figure out how to figure this out, because this whole page of people are making tens of thousands of dollars in bonuses. And we have an Inspector General report come out. It's not too rosy, and it's just terribly frustrating.